Well, since I was an entrepreneur, dinosaurs no longer roam the earth, and you know, the sea level has probably risen a couple 100 feet. But you know, I've been in Silicon Valley now 30 plus years, and it was a pretty lonely place in terms of, I mean, obviously not the density of the people, but the paucity of the information. You had no idea how venture capital worked. It was kind of a mysterious process. You had no idea about entrepreneurship, and in fact, it wasn't till you start hearing war stories from others that maybe you'd have a coffee a month or a quarter and kind of compare notes. There was no internet. There was no way to kind of really understand the process. It was kind of just magic. Nowadays, I find my students have the other problem. They're completely overwhelmed with advice about anything. In fact, if they want any possible opinion in any direction of the compass, they could go get it. The issue today isn't the lack of information, it's the overwhelming amount of information without a roadmap. And so if you don't understand, if you're new to this game, about which path to take, this is almost worse than no information. You know, I've seen students change dramatically. At first I thought maybe there's something in the water, because they've sure gotten a lot smarter, and that might be the case. But I think what they've just gotten is a lot more data. You know, the emergence of the net pre and post is just dramatic. It's not even on the same planet. You know, students anywhere in the world have access to the same amount of data as a student sitting at Stanford. What they didn't have, which only took me about, because I was panicking, you know, I'd ask a question. Normally that used to take like an hour and a half of discussion. Okay, we could go the whole class in this one question, and go around the room and you get the answer in 3.5 minutes. Oh my gosh. But then what I realized is what they still don't have, and that's why they're students, is they don't know what it means. That is, it's a technical answer, but it's not an experiential answer. That is, they could tell you about, oh yes, here's what we're supposed to do. Well, what does that mean, talk to a customer? Well, we don't know. We've never really done it, but we know what the right answer is. And so that's when I changed how I decided to educate students. Classes I do now are very little lecture and almost all experiential. You take an entrepreneurship class from me, we put you in a team, you get to select the team, you get to select the idea. We're building the company in the class. And I don't mean just coding, that's a given, or building the hardware or product, that's a given. I'm assuming you're going to do that. What you're going to do is over the course of the semester or quarter, you're personally going to eyeball at least 100 customers, people you've never met and don't know, and the winner is the one who can actually get an order or two in the class. The record so far is actually it was a beef jerky company of all things in Berkeley. You know, it was about week 7, and you know, everybody was talking to customers. These guys said, no, we just talked to one customer this week. Normally you talk to 10 or 20. And we were about to get mad. You talk to one? How can you do that? They put up the slide. It was from Safeway. It was a check for $500,000. It was their first order. and we went, okay, you guys win. It was a beef jerky company called Crave, and they started in the class, and that's what they used the process for. And that's the extreme. But truly, for me now, teaching entrepreneurship in the classes I teach are called the Lean Launchpad. And they're taught at Stanford, Berkeley, Columbia, going to be taught at Princeton. It's what I'm teaching now for the U.S. government and the National Science Foundation, which is another big story. That the government, at least the people who give grants to our scientists and engineers who want to commercialize their technology, get it big time. And so I think we're truly changing on how we educate entrepreneurs. The key class used to be how to write a business plan. And there used to be business plan competitions. My message to anybody who's in a school who has a business plan competition, drop out, because you're not going to learn anything. Business plan competitions are beauty contests for venture capitalists, for recruiting, and for professors who don't know anything about entrepreneurship because they could grade the papers. But a business plan has absolutely no reality to what you will do in the real world, and a business plan competition is the biggest waste of your time in probably anything you're ever going to do. Business model competitions are radically different. They actually do match what you will encounter outside. they have a wonderful entrepreneurial arrogance I never had, and I didn't think I was shy. I mean, everybody thinks if you wear hoodies and flip-flops, you could be Zuckerberg and be CEO of a $100 billion company at 24. I find that refreshingly arrogant and probably amusing. It used to be, at least when I was an entrepreneur, there was a period of apprenticeship where you worked for experienced entrepreneurs and you learned the craft, and it was a craft business. And, eventually by some point of your life, you thought you were well equipped to go do that, and you started your own company. But I don't think that was necessarily the right way. I'm both bemused and excited to see people in their 20s going, really? That's it? That's all I need to? I can do that? Okay, have a good time. What's great about entrepreneurship is if you're passionate, you're visionary, you learn quickly, anybody could do this. The difference, though, is, and the part that's bad, is thinking of entrepreneurship as kind of like a job or cool. Both of those are fatal. Thinking of it as a job, I'll give you an example. Almost every year in the business school versions of the class I teach in both the engineering school and business school. In the business school versions, almost every year I get a student that says, Professor Blank, I have a job choice. I really need your help. I almost know what's coming by now. What's the choice? Well, I got this great offer from McKinsey. I go, McKinsey, great firm. Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm really excited. Well, what's your other choice? Well, my roommates and I have been thinking about the startup, and I really want... I go, forget it. You've decided. No, I got to tell you about the startup. I said, no, you've decided. You can't keep McKinsey and a startup in your head at the same time. McKinsey's a job. A startup's not a job. A startup's a calling. It's a passion. You're going to be working 24/7 for peanuts, and the odds of success are infinitely low. McKinsey is a great job. You get a nice office, you get an expense account, you get to wear a little suit, you get to tell people you work for McKinsey. But that's not a calling. I mean, that's like welcome to mainstream America. Nothing wrong with it. Normal people work for McKinsey. But you got to be certifiably insane and cult. It's an art. And if you don't have that, this isn't like some comparison to the job offer. The same thing of people who think of entrepreneurship, oh, I want to be Zuckerberg, or gee, the Instagram ad is about the money, or gee, isn't this cool? Wrong reasons. It's not cool. It's hard. It's extremely hard, especially if you're a founder. If you're an early employee, it's almost as hard, and you get 1/100th of the equity. So, don't do this because, gee, it's now kind of a trendy thing to do. Being an entrepreneur, I think I've said this multiple times, truly is like being an artist. It's not like, gee, I like to paint, or isn't it nice to paint? It's I just can't get it out of my system. And I think maybe the one thing that's the consequence of entrepreneurship not being thought of for the crazy people anymore is that we have lots of people who shouldn't be doing it, trying it. Luckily, the cost of doing it and getting it out of your system is just one lousy experience in a startup before you go, maybe I could get a regular job.